listening to so many, bands. For example, I'm more of a metal kid. I love metal and punk. I grew up on, like I said, a lot of like the rock and metal bands. And then, I got into a lot of the, punk bands, like Sex Pistols. And, although they weren't musically very technical, they just looked cool. And they played from their heart, which goes back to, of what I was talking about, that a lot of they have a theory called KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid. And that's where a lot of these bands have they come out with these songs because they have different influences. Like I said, my influences are mainly metal and rock. I grew up a lot on, like I said, like Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, and then later on, I got into, bands like Slipknot and, Marilyn Manson. I loved Megadeth and Metallica, bands like that as well. And, but then I also, like I said, I got into Duran Duran, Prince, and, one of my favorite artists right now is actually Lady Gaga. I just love Lady Gaga. It's just like, there's something about her that is amazing. She's an artist that takes it to a different level, image, music, everything, and she doesn't, you can tell that it's very passionate, and she's allowed to be an artist, which is, as an artist, what you always want to be, and that's basically, good to have different influences.
那刚刚就说，其实他觉得他们现在的团员 Devil Sunrise 是这样，就是他们的团员其实几乎每个人喜欢的东西都不太一样。然后他觉得这是个好事啊，就是你可以做出来的歌比较多元，你可能会有比较慢的、比较柔的歌，然后也有比较 rock 的歌。他就说，像他就是他本身就是 metal， 然后 punk、rock 那一挂的，所以其实如果你们的团员大家都有不一样的音乐喜好的话，是件好事啊。不过有时候可能会吵架，可是你要把他们 keep 住，因为这可能是以后你们团会有比较不一样东西的时候，所以要忍住。然后他也讲说，他现在喜欢的最近很喜欢的一个那个艺人是那个 Lady Gaga， 他说他很喜欢，他蛮有热情的样子。Last question.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to collaborate with?
I've been very fortunate as a drummer to work with a lot of my idols or bands that I actually liked. When I grew up in a state called Texas, which is basically we're our own country, United States. And I started making friends in the business, and I started networking with a lot of musicians and just making friends. And a lot of the bands that I was inspired by, for example, like I was saying, Linkin Park, Orgy. I liked Marilyn Manson at the time a lot. A band called Stabbing Westward. All these bands that, Motley Crue, that I was influenced by a lot at the time and in the past. That I always had this like goal and dreams. And I went on tour, and this guy I met this guy who actually became one of my really good friends. His name is DJ Ashba. And DJ Ashba is a guitar player. He's actually in Guns N' Roses now.
Yes.
And at the time, when I moved to LA, I started playing with DJ. And I started meeting a lot of people. And moving to LA was actually a really good experience for me in a lot of ways because I wasn't making any money. I was struggling, sleeping in couches, sleeping in floors. I would sleep in my car at times just to make it. I had this drive. And it didn't, I wouldn't eat for days, or we'd make friends with strippers and, they take us to dinner or whatever, all this stuff or whatever. And it just became this type of survival that within LA I ended up making friends, and I ended up making a kind of like a name for myself. So then the opportunity came to work with a guitar player whose name is John Five. John Five was in Marilyn Manson. He played guitar with Marilyn Manson, and I loved Marilyn Manson. I really liked, they were really heavy and really artsy. So I went and tried out for his band, and I actually made his band. So I was like, wow, I'm playing with a member from Marilyn Manson, which was an influence. And then, that band, didn't work out. He joined Rob Zombie, and I was looking for a job. And at the time, that's when I was friends with the guys from Orgy, which is Ryan and Amir, who are the guitar players in Dead by Sunrise. And they saw me play, and they automatically were like, we want you to come try out for Julian K. So I went and tried out for Julian K and got the gig right away. They were going to audition drummers, and I beat everybody right off the bat. Which my audition was the song I played, the first song I played, and it's actually the only song I've played. So another influence I got to play with, which is, these guys in Orgy. Well, later on I got to play with, I did a video with bass player. His name is Nicky Six, Nicky Six is in Motley Crue. And at the time he had a side project which was called 6 a.m., which went back to DJ Ashba. And I got to play, I actually got to be in a video with one of my influences, a huge influence, which was Motley Crue, a member of Motley Crue. And the funny story about doing that video, which I still remember to this day, and I like sharing it with people, is that when I was 12 years old and I started learning records, Motley Crue was one of the first records I learned. And I'm a little kid, and I'm sitting playing drums in my bedroom, and I'm imagining that I'm in Motley Crue. As you look in the mirror and you're like, I want to be Lady Gaga, or I want to be Chester. Well, I wanted to be Tommy Lee. Well, when it got time to shoot the video, and drums are all set up, and I came in and sat down, and then Nicky Six walks up, and DJ and everybody were getting ready to shoot the video. It took me back to when I was a 12-year-old. So if you can imagine the excitement that just basically, I was so excited. I was like, wait, Nicky Six is right here. And, he comes up to me and he's like, and my mind just went, But I mean, I had to be cool, I had to be like, whoa, cool. because I'm cool, you know. But it was an experience that was just mind blowing. And then, you know, when I got to work with Chester, I mean, he's the biggest rock star singer in the world. Period. I mean, the guy is, you know, he's huge. That I've had, the pleasure and been able to play with my influences